until the pilot gives you the signal. And the stewardess says, to all those in their seats, Merry Christmas. And to those of you standing, pulling down the luggage, moving everyone out of the way, Happy Hanukkah and welcome home. This I've told on Yom Tov as well. I won't be able to tell anything on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. A woman goes into a coma. This is very sad. A woman goes into a coma. She's out for months and months, and the daughter sits there staring, nervous. What's going to happen? And finally, a miracle happens. She opens her eyes. She looks up. And then she looks totally frightened. She says to her daughter, "Oh my God, you've got to help me." She says, "What? My memory's gone. My memory's gone. Who is it I'm not speaking to?" All these groans, people. Yes. People ask me, what is it like, explain culturally Jewishness. He said, well, it's very simple. The Frenchman says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have wine." The German says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have beer." The Jew says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have diabetes." There was a rabbi, they asked him once, do you mind if people look at their watch when you're speaking? He said, "I don't mind when they look at their watch. What worries me is when I'm giving a sermon, if they look at their watch and they go like this." That's what frightens me. I've got about 5 to tell you, and I'm not sure. You know about the man who comes to the rabbi and he says, he looks awful, he looks bedraggled, poor and miserable. He had a great business. He said, "What happened?" He said, I'm ruined. Is there something you can do for me? Is there something you can tell me, something you can help me with? He says, I can't, but I tell you what, take the Chumash, take the Tanakh, take the Bible, go and stand by the lake, the wind will blow the pages, you'll look, maybe you'll see something, they'll give you some idea what to do. He comes back 2 months later, he looks wonderful, wearing a beautiful suit, his wife is with him, she's wearing a mink coat. It's summer, it's 85 degrees, she's wearing a mink coat. By the way, what did one mink say to the other? "See you in shul on Rosh Hashanah." And he says, "What happened? What happened? This is wonderful. Did you look?" He said, "Yes, I stood by the lake, the pages went back and forth, and there it came on one page. What did it say?" He said, "I saw it at the top, it said, chapter 11. This does not work in England, it doesn't work in Canada. It only works here. Many years ago I was in Milwaukee and I conducted services as a husband, as a cantor, in a senior center, an old age home, which was it was a very old age home, and the people were very hard of hearing. It was an Orthodox place, which meant that the men sat in the front, the women sat at the back. I stood here with my back to them, singing for 2 or 3 hours. It wasn't Rosh Hashanah, it was on Shavuos. It was a long service, and after the first day, a woman came up to me and said, we couldn't hear a thing. We could not hear anything. The next day, I screamed my head off. I yelled, I carried on, my throat was aching, I was sweating. At the end, I went back to the same lady who was of a certain age, and she didn't seem to know who I was. And I said, "Could you hear me today?" She said, "Well, am I deaf?" And then I said to her, "Tell me the truth. How did I do?" She said, "I hope you don't mind my saying, the cantor yesterday was better." 3 ladies pass on, and they go up to that great place in the sky. And the angel comes out and says, "You have to tell me something good that you've done." And she says to the first lady, what can you tell me? She says, I'm Catholic and I went to church, I went to Mass, I took communion, and I did good deeds, I listened to the priest. He said, very good, room 1, go into room 1. The second lady says, I'm Protestant. I went to church, I listened to the priest, I gave charity, I did good work. She said, room 1. The Jewish lady comes, she says, I went to shul, I did everything, I kept kosher, I kept Shabbos, I kept Yom Tov. I did all these things. He said, very good. Room 2. You know, why do you tell them room 1 and me you tell room 2? He says, listen dear, you're going to see God. Don't you want to get your hair done first? And when I told that to my sister, who by strange coincidence is also Jewish, she said to me, and I'm not lying about, she said to me, didn't the other 2 also have to get their hair done? Mann Schwester, this is my sister. This is my family. The lady comes to a photographic lab. This is years ago. She says, listen, I wonder, my husband was very religious. We could never take a picture. We weren't allowed to take a photo. Once we took a picture. He's not alive anymore. This is the only photograph I have of my dear late husband. But he has a hat on. Could you do it? Can you make it so that we can see? So you take the hat off. He said, we can do anything. We can do anything. Now with computers, we can do even more. She says, thank you very much. Thank you. And she leaves. And as she's leaving, he says, wait a minute, madam. He says, yes. He says, what side did he part his hair? She said, when you take the hat off, you'll see. Yes. This I told in Florida, and only one person laughed. So I'll see if I get one person to laugh. A Jewish boy or girl calls mother and says, how are you? He says, I'm fine. So the child says, I see you have company. I'll call again later. I told you. I told you. I know, you're thinking, what's so funny? What's so funny? What's so funny is, tell it to other people. There's a restaurant. Everyone goes to this restaurant, and there's a favorite waiter, Mendel. And Mendel passes on. And they are very bereft. So they go to a medium to get in touch with Mendel. And the medium, you know, the lights are turned off, candle on the table. The medium puts his hand on the table, the candle begins to flicker, and there, up there, they see Mendel, as he always was, with a napkin over his arm. And they call out, Mendel! No answer. One of the others calls out, Mendel! No answer. Another one calls out, Mendel! After 10 minutes, finally he says, yes? He says, Mendel, why didn't you answer before? He says, you wasn't my table. Okay, an act of defiance. I'll tell you an even more difficult one. A ventriloquist. Business is very bad. Let's make him a Jewish ventriloquist. Business is bad. And he announces, he's gone into another field. He says, for $100, you can speak to your dearly departed. And for $200, your dearly departed will speak to you. And for, I'm not there yet. Wait. And for $300, your dearly departed will speak to you while I drink a glass of water. I knew that the laughter would come from there. I knew. Yes. You know about there was a court case. This is very embarrassing. Before I come to that, you know about the woman. There's a woman says to a neighbor, listen, I see you're having a party. How do you know? What are you, Sherlock Holmes? He says, listen, the caterer's come, you've got a band that's coming, everyone, it's obvious you're having a party. What's going on? He says, my boys are coming home. He says, wonderful, your boy, where have they been? He says, in jail. He says, in jail? Yes, I remember now. How long has it been? He says, it's been 9 years. He says, 9 years. Wait a minute, they were sentenced to 15 years. He said, yes, they got 6 years off for good behavior. He says, what a nachas to have two such well-behaved boys. Okay, I'll tell one. I always tell this one in Yiddish and English. By the way, is there anyone here who hasn't heard a single news story? Please raise your hand. What a relief. Okay. Yes, this happened in Israel. I'm going to tell it in Yiddish and English. A man comes to the doctor in Israel. And the doctor examines him. And he says to him, Wie alt sind ihr? English, please. How old are you? Normally you understand, right? And he says, Ich bin 78 Jahre alt. I am 78 years old. He says to him, das erste Mal, ich soll sehen, ein Jid, 78 Jahre alt, das soll gesinnt. First time in my life, I've seen a man 78 years old, who's so healthy. Wie azoi kimtus? How is that? How do you do it? He says, dus habe ich alles zu verdanken meinem Weib. This is entirely due to my wife. Wie azoi? He says, wenn wir haben gehabt Chasana, when we got married, hat sie mir gesagt, she said to me, es kann nicht sein, it's impossible, als zwei Menschen sollen leben zusammen, the two people should can live together, in nicht gemacht nicht not have an argument. Is that so? So this is what we'll do. Als einer wird nehmen schreien, if one of us starts yelling, soll der andere gar nicht sagen, the other one shouldn't say anything, nor soll rausgehen auf the gas. Just go, the other one should just leave and go out into the street. Now I'll tell you the punchline in Yiddish and in English. Me says nie, als man ist 50 Jahre in der frische Luft, muss man sein gesinnt. If you spend 50 years in the fresh air, you're bound to be healthy. So look at the bonus you get. Some of you heard this twice. You heard this twice. Okay. How are we doing? How much? What am I? Do I continue? What's the story? Be halted. I want you to get your money's worth. Some of you slept there. Do you know I gave a program once at the Skokie Library, and a lady accused me afterwards of not saying any Yiddish, and she told me she was very, very angry. She said, "Look what it cost us." I said, "What did it cost you?" She said, "I came here from Buffalo Grove." I said, "Well, next time," I said, "I'll come to Buffalo Grove myself and not speak any Yiddish." So what's, how do you, is there a timekeeper? Yes, I see. Okay, 2 more and then we're done. Until Rosh Hashanah. Did you all get, remember, take, if these are too big for you, they're big, take one of these. Take one of these are smaller, but take one if you're not a member of the shul. If you're a member of the shul, you can take one too, but it's a waste, because you've seen him already. Anyway, so, yeah. A man dies, it's time that happens, and he goes to, he's shown up and down. Gan Eden, Garden of Heaven, and what's this one called in Yiddish? Gehenna. He's shown this one, Gan Eden, Gehenna. He goes downstairs, he's shown that, and he can't believe it. Thousands of dimensions, there are thousands of people. Man esst, man trinkt, man tanzt, man hullet, they're eating, they're drinking, they're dancing, they're frolicking.
In hell.
As our filler do in hell, right? So our filler do a band. There's even a band. There's a live band. Think of that in a minute. For a minute, just think of that. After you're dead, there's a live band. Just think of it. It's not deeply theological, but give it some thought. There's also kosher food, which raises a much better question. In hell, there's kosher food. Don't draw any conclusions. Anyway, either about hell or kosher food. Anyway, then he's shown upstairs. He looks down. There's no one there. He looks at then way over in the corner.